in freezing temperatures.
And they go to the Ganges at 4 o'clock in the morning and have a cold water bath. I guess what we are talking at that extreme end is an exercise done by practitioners to become resilient, to cope with, and to move on. It is a choice that they have taken. It is something which it is their preferred mode which they are talking about. The lesson from their preferred mode to those who live in normal lives is that there is some part of it which is applicable to those who live in families. The word in India used for mendicants, because they leave everything and move away, is called sannyas or sannyasi. The one who lives in family, of course, is a family person. The thing that one understands from sannyasi is sannyasi detaches himself and moves away from the society. While he still lives in society, there's a lot of detachment that he has. They talk about an aspect of being sannyasi or detachment that can also be brought into the family situation, into the coping skills, into the resilience that can be built in our society. Are we on the same
Absolutely.
on the platform?
Absolutely.
We have cooked this completely like a dialogue for you, because we were inspired by a video and we can't compete with the inaugural video in the morning. Okay. There are about 4 to 5 million mendicants in India today, and they are still widely respected. You have talked about their abstinence from sex. Now, we move on to that aspect of Mumbai.
Mumbai has been face to face with nature-afflicted calamities like floods and man-afflicted terrorism and bomb blasts. So, we talk of Mumbai floods, which stopped the unstoppable Mumbai for complete 6 days in the year 2006. And then, of course, we talk of 2006 Mumbai train blast, when 200 people, close to 200 people were killed in a single day. And we also talk about the equivalent of 26/11 of North America, 26/11/2008, when, that was a Black Wednesday for the whole of India, in fact, which is called the Carnage of Wednesday, when terrorists, they struck Mumbai in never seen before way. These are the photographs. You can have a look. Terrorist attacks, aftermaths, Taj Hotel burning, Taj Mahal Hotel in Mumbai burning.
This was on the last weekend Australian newspaper, if anybody has seen this. There was an article on coping resilience with this particular photograph.
Again, some photographs of the same hotel. Terrorists. Aftermath. This is one of the, brave policemen who lost his life countering the terrorists. And this is aftermath. Again. This is how, people coped up. This is beautiful. This is how people actually coped up. This speaks about the resilience of common citizens of Mumbai. Again, have a look. Have a look.
That's the most interesting part. Every time city is struck by nature, cities spring back to normal, fast life. And we know that. And the unique resilience that we talk about stems largely from their ability to shrug off, forget their pain, and move on with life. No one gives, in some societies, too much credibility for the grief and the loss that people themselves have to go through. There are those who suffer will have to go through grief and loss by themselves because they're not fortunate to have a whole heap of human service personnel, a whole heap of social workers, a whole part of government to look after, to cajole, to nurse, and to give them any kind of a solace. People themselves come forward, look after, and do what's necessary. As I think the statistics which Sneh brought shows Bombay Municipal Corporation handled floods commendably, but the city people conducted rescue operations themselves. The question that we have.
Yeah, some questions that we would try to find out or probably are still unanswered. The first question is, what goes as resilience of commoners in their vulnerable state is perhaps avoidable? And the second question that we would like to, why do we use the yardstick of tragedy for finding or building resilience? Is it prevalent in varying proportions across different cultures, and across different segments of population? And how do we build this as renewable energy source?
And that's where we wanted to end and give you the opportunity of the next 10 minutes or so for a bit of a discussion. We'll be here trying to take a few questions.
I just have a vague type of a question.
Yeah, sure.
Because I know these two cities very closely. Varanasi is the one where I stayed for 14 years. Most of the element that you are actually looking at and trying to probably define it as components of resilience could be simply, this is how you have grown with. So you have grown with a set of task, life events, expectations, and you have dealt techniques of handling those things. And many of these may not actually fit into the realm of resilience. And hence, when you say that you are in a vulnerable state and still you participate in something that could be avoided, say like a Delhi commuter in the local train in Mumbai, whether he or she is vulnerable or resilient, has to take a train because he or she doesn't have any option. So in many cases, what grossly looks as resilience perhaps is the non-availability of an option.
We can't do anything other than completely agreeing with you. What we are talking about is on the same wavelength. What we are saying is the resilience research, the coping research, and anything that we talk about until now has always been associated with looking at the world from what they do not have or what they have not seen, and it's been based on that. But what you are talking about is, this is exactly what, when I came over to Australia from India, lots of people have asked me this question. How do poor people live? Well, it was wonderful. The other one was, do you have social security? I'm sure for the next 100, 200, 300 years, India can never provide a social security. There's a semblance of social security through some programs if they can be applied here and there. But we don't have the kind of social security allowances that some of these cultures have. We also don't have human services per se. So not having is to be seen, that is also a variable, a state of deprivation for them. And when they cope, they have no other way other than coping. So there's no other way. If you have to give them an award, if you have to talk to people who brave it, what would you do? How many people would you give bravery award? You have to give a whole nation. And that's what it is all about. So what we are trying to see are some cultures, that's what Sneh has already said. I think some cultures already have within those qualities, those attitudinal dispositions through which they come out. And what we are trying to see is it possible then, because those cultures are getting threatened. We have talked about other things the other day in terms of enemy coming in, alienation, lots of sociological gifts we get around very quickly. A hell of a lot of modernization takes place even in all those countries. Family is no longer able to get something from the extended family. Varanasi, where you stayed 14 years ago, for 14 years, moves very, very quickly. And everything with the pace at which we are moving, even these cultures will have to look at applying the definitions that we are applying in the West. Michael Clark spent some time in the afternoon talking about the DSM-4 alone being one with which we can just look around anybody and can put them in, brand somebody in Bangalore with some diagnosis, he will perfectly fit somewhere in another culture, or he doesn't fit. So if you get into culture, then we have an issue. So what we are talking about is coping, resilience, and hope building is going to be situated in a cultural context. And a lot of it would have some permissible generalizations, but not really a lot that can be compared. Yes, ma'am.
Having to listen to your presentation, and I think the way that culture plays a lot in a lot of us, I think there's a lot of having to listen to your presentation, having to listen to Lorraine's presentation. There are some similarities, and I think why those cultures are thriving in your place is the lived experience and the value we hold as human beings. It is not the systems, and that is why there are systems trying to go through the mindset and trying to develop a human being and replace the value system that a person has. That's where the conflict comes in. And people over years have lived and they've thrived, they have been resilient. It's what they hold in their hearts and they believe in it. And they can do it. Like in your country, same as where I come from. Any natural disaster comes in and says, oh, let's go and replace it. Let's go and put these things and move people aside. That will not happen. They have lived there. That's their place. That's where the heart is. And I think resilience comes from the persons who lives there, practices it. It is part of their way of life, and that is where they thrive. And having to see that, like I know I'm like you. I come to live in Australia, but I'm a different indigenous person. But having to live here and see, it's just the way other people impose and say, this is the way for you. And that is where it comes into conflict. For example, you and I, where you come from, I come from, we don't have the social human services.
No.
We look after our loved ones.
That's right.
And that is our value system, that you live and I in my home. That is my way of giving back to you as a parent. You brought me into the world, you invested in me, I have to give back. Where in Australia, go and put up an agency. Go and live over there, here's the money. We pay, and are they doing it with love? No. A lot of them are doing for the sake of